The male reproductive system includes the testes, which are in charge of the production of sperm, and a genital tract through where the sperm can be secreted. The genital tract is the way through which sperm can be expelled. It all begins in the testes. These produce sperm that matures in the epididymis outside the testicles. When it leaves the epididymis, it enters vas deferens, a storage space. The ejaculatory ducts connect with the urethra. The penis is the male organ for intercourse. It's composed by a long shaft and a tip called the gland. When this organ gets stimulated, blood flow increases and produces an erection. Through contractions by stimuli, a sphincter closes the urinary bladder so that urine doesn't get in the way and semen doesn't enter the bladder, causing its expulsion. And finally, the testicles. These gonads produce sex hormones and sperm. They are found in a protection sac called scrotum. The scrotum also regulates temperature inside the testes, so that sperm can be correctly produced. Sperm is generated through spermatogenesis, beginning with the male sex cell transforming through mitosis into spermatogonium, and then into spermatocytes. After this, two processes of meiosis occur, resulting in spermatids, which mature into spermatozoa. And now, for hormonal regulation. First, the hypothalamus secretes a hormone called gonadotropin-releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pituitary gland, secreting gonadotropic hormones. These hormones are divided into luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. Both have different functions in men and women. In this case, FSH will promote spermatogenesis, and LH will produce testosterone through the interstitial cells. In males, testosterone is the main sex hormone. It develops male sex organs and secondary sex characteristics.
The female reproductive system consists of the female gonads, the organs of the female reproductive tract, and the external female genitals. The gonads in the female consist of the ovaries, located one on each side of the upper pelvis, whose functions are to produce the oocytes or eggs in a process called oogenesis, and the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which are the hormones that control the uterine cycle. One egg is usually produced per month in one of the ovaries and then released into the oviduct in a process called ovulation. Once the egg is released, it is viable for up to 24 hours. The female genital tract consists of the oviducts, the uterus, and the vagina. The oviducts or fallopian tubes extend from the uterus to the ovaries, but they are not attached to the ovaries. Rather, they end in finger-like projections called fimbriae that, together with the ciliated lining of the oviducts, guides the egg into the oviduct and then sweep it towards the uterus. Fertilization of the egg with the sperm takes place in the oviduct. The resulting zygote continues to divide as it travels towards the uterus, becoming an embryo. The embryo reaches the uterus in about 1 week. The uterus is a hollow muscular organ about the size and shape of an inverted pear. It is lined with a vascular tissue called the endometrium, and this is where the embryo is embedded when it reaches the uterus, in a process called implantation. If the embryo implants somewhere other than the endometrium of the uterus, then it is considered an ectopic pregnancy. The endometrium forms part of the placenta. The uterus houses the developing embryo. It has the capacity to stretch from 5 cm to 30 cm to accommodate the developing baby. The upper end of the uterus is connected to the oviducts, while at the lower end of the uterus it is an opening called the cervix that connects with the vagina at a 90-degree angle. The vagina is a long muscular tube that lies at a 45-degree angle to the lower back. It receives the penis during sexual intercourse and serves as both the birth canal and the exit for the monthly menstrual flow. The external female genitals are collectively known as vulva, and it includes the labia majora, labia minora, and the glans clitoris, and a cleft with the openings of the urethra and vagina. The labia majora are two large hair-covered skin folds that extend from the mons pubis, which is of fatty prominence from the pubic bones covered with pubic hair. The labia minora are two small folds lying just inside the labia majora, and they extend from the opening of the vagina to circle the glans clitoris, forming the foreskin. The glans clitoris contains erectile tissue that becomes filled with blood during sexual stimulation. The cleft between the labia minora contains the openings of the urethra and the vagina. The vagina may be partially closed by a tissue called the hymen, which is ruptured by sexual intercourse or some other physical means. Female hormonal regulation refers to the ovarian and uterine cycles. The ovarian cycle is divided into three parts: the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During the follicular phase, FSH is released by the anterior pituitary gland, stimulates the development of a follicle in one of the ovaries. As the follicle matures, oogenesis is initiated and continues, and the epithelial cells of the follicle multiply and secrete the female sex hormones, mainly estrogen. As estrogen levels rise, negative feedback stops the secretion of FSH so that the follicular phase comes to an end. During ovulation, the secondary oocyte is released from the follicle into the oviduct. This happens because the estrogen spike causes the secretion of GnRH from the hypothalamus, which in turn causes surge of LH from the anterior pituitary gland, resulting in ovulation on about day 14 of a 28-day cycle. After ovulation, the luteal phase begins. During the luteal phase, LH promotes the development of the corpus luteum, which consists of the follicle cells left behind after ovulation. The corpus luteum secretes female sex hormones, mainly progesterone. The uterine cycle can be divided into three parts: menstruation, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. The first part, menstruation, lasts 5 days and consists of the breakdown of the endometrium with blood passing out of the vagina. The low levels of the female sex hormones cause menstruation to occur. The proliferative phase starts 1 day after the menstruation and lasts up to 8 days and consists of the buildup of the endometrium, which becomes more vascular and glandular. The proliferative phase is caused by the increased production of estrogen by the new developing follicle. The secretory phase starts 2 days after the proliferative phase and lasts up to 14 days and consists of the endometrium doubling or tripling in thickness and the uterine glands producing a thick mucus secretion. The secretion of progesterone by the corpus luteum causes the secretory phase. The endometrium is now prepared to receive a developing embryo. If fertilization and implantation do not occur, the corpus luteum will degenerate, resulting in lower levels of the sex hormones that will lead to the breakdown of the endometrium and menstruation.
Now I'm going to talk about some types of birth control. The first one is a condom. That is a small, thin sponge made of latex, plastic, or lambskin that covers the man's penis during sex. The intrauterine device, IUD, more than 99% effective, is a tiny device made of flexible plastic that's inserted in your uterus. The implant, more than 99% effective. A tiny thin rod about the size of a matchstick that releases hormones into your body to prevent you from getting pregnant. The pill, about 91% effective. A kind of medicine with the hormones that you take every day to prevent pregnancy. And that's all. Most of these methods are used to prevent half-child, which is very important in this world that is overpopulated, and also to take care of yourself, because you can sexual transmission disease, which is horrible. The condom is the only method that I mentioned that helps to prevent that you could acquire a sexual transmission disease, because the other ones are not for that necessity, or doesn't have the system for protects you from a sexual transmission disease.